Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping right into cognitive science. Specifically, this really neat thing called semantic priming.
Right. That's the super fast connection your brain makes. Like if you see the word DOG and then right after we flash the word CA, you'll recognize CA way faster.
Faster than if you saw, say, DOG then BUS.
Exactly. That little speed boost, that facilitation, that's semantic priming. And honestly, it's probably our best peek into how we, organize knowledge in our heads.
Okay, but here's the thing, right? For ages, almost all the research, our whole understanding of this was just based on English speakers.
That's the big problem. You can't really claim something is universally human if you've only tested it in one language group.
So our mission today is to dig into this massive new study that tried to fix that. It's actually the biggest one ever done on this.
Huge scale. We're talking, what was the number?
Get this, 25,163 participants.
Wow.
Across 19 different languages, all analyzed.
Okay, yeah. Let's definitely unpack that.
So what was holding back earlier research? Why couldn't they just, test more languages before?
Well, it was really two things. Sample size, like you said, but also just the sheer diversity of languages.
How so?
Languages aren't just different words. They have different scripts, different grammar, different cultural contexts woven in. So relying on older data sets, even influential ones like the Semantic Priming Project.
Which was only English data.
Only English. It just wasn't enough to make those big general claims. You need scale.
Yeah.
And you need that linguistic variety to be sure it's not just like a quirk of English or Western culture.
Right. And this is where the new study got clever, methodologically speaking.
Yeah.
They didn't just error translate English word lists.
No, that's a classic trap. Direct translation often messes up the subtle semantic relationships between words.
So what did they do instead?
They basically built the word lists from scratch for each language. They used some pretty advanced computational tools.
Things like fast text. And I saw open subtitles mentioned.
Exactly. Think of them as AI trained on like billions of sentences from all over the world, from texts and movie subtitles.
Okay.
This let them find word pairs, the cue word and the target word, that had genuinely similar relationships within each language. So DOG and C might be used in Spanish, but the equivalent pair in Japanese would be selected based on how those specific Japanese words relate, not just a translation.
That sounds way more rigorous. And they managed this massive coordination how?
Through something called the Psychological Science Accelerator.
Right, the network of labs.
Yeah, like 126 labs all working together globally. It allowed for this huge standardized data collection effort. The aim was really to nail down the effect precisely and overcome the reliability issues you often get in smaller psych studies.
Okay, so they did all this groundwork, massive scale, careful methods. What did they find? Is semantic priming actually universal?
Basically, yes. That was hypothesis one. The effect is real and it's robust across all the languages they tested.
How big was the effect?
On average, people recognize the related word about 30.61 milliseconds faster than the unrelated one.
30 milliseconds. Doesn't sound like a lot to, us.
No. But in terms of brain processing speed, that's significant. It confirms there's this automatic, likely hardwired connection happening.
Okay, clear confirmation. And hypothesis two. Did the strength of that priming effect change depending on the language?
It did, yeah. There was some variability. The statistical models fit the data better when they allowed for differences between languages.
So not exactly the same everywhere.
Not exactly identical, no. But, and this is the key point, I think the differences were quite small.
So the big picture is consistency.
Overwhelmingly, yes. Think about it. You're comparing languages written in Latin scripts like German or Spanish to languages using completely different systems like Japanese or simplified Chinese.
Right, totally different visual processing even.
And yet the core priming effect looked remarkably similar across all of them. That strongly suggests it's a general cognitive mechanism we all share.
So the main takeaway really is this universality. Despite all the surface-level differences in language and culture, this basic cognitive process seems to work the same way underneath.
Precisely. And what that means really is that this kind of research helps move psychology beyond that old criticism, the weird problem.
Where studies mostly use Western, educated, industrialized, rich, and democratic participants.
Exactly. This study deliberately went broad, went global, and now there's this fantastic open data set that researchers can use to ask even deeper questions, knowing the basic effect is solid worldwide.
Which leads perfectly into that final thought for you, the listener, to consider.
Right. We know priming happens everywhere, and we know there are these small, subtle variations in strength across languages.
So the next big question is, why? What specific things, maybe the type of script used, maybe specific cultural factors, maybe how we measure semantic similarity itself, what actually predicts those little differences?
That's where the research can go next, using this incredible resource, exploring the nuances on top of the universal foundation.